the topic for this video, if you saw it on the thumbnail, says you're bitter, the truth about healing. And there are a lot of things that are talked about when it comes to healing, but one of the things that I thought would be important to talk about again would be bitterness. Bitterness is a time stealer. Bitterness is a thing that many of us get locked into because we don't allow the healing process to stretch us. We don't allow it to stretch us to the point where we release the pain itself and then also release the thing or the person that's connected to the pain. Bitterness is a thing or a part or a stage, I'm going to say, that we can get locked into that can cause us to invest a lot of time. And it's time that we can't get back. So today, what I want to do is I just want to just briefly just ask you some questions and give you some things to think about when it comes to where you are within your healing process, and in particular to bitterness. So the first question I want to ask you is, how long have you been holding on to this specific thing? How long have you been holding on to a hurt that you think or you believe you just can't forgive somebody for, or that you're just finding very hard to move forward from? How long has it been? How much time have you invested in being angry? How much time have you invested in making sure that this particular person or persons don't come around you? How much time have you invested in making sure that you're not in the same space as them? How long or how much time have you invested in thinking about what they've done and why they did it and how come they didn't apologize? And how much time have you invested to where it's brought you to the point where you filter the feelings and the genuine intentions of other people towards you through this thing that happened however long ago it happened? How much time have you invested being angry? Because even being angry and holding on to it and not forgiving them, that can be deceptive in itself, because to not forgive someone can make you feel as if you are in a position of power, that you're in a position where you are holding them to something when really you're actually holding yourself to something. And I know that, forgiveness is a heavy word, because most times people believe that when we say we're going to forgive somebody, that we're releasing them from what they did to us, when in fact we're really releasing ourselves from what they did to us. And so what you want to consider, I'll say, is how long do you want to stay in a place where you are held hostage to something that an apology may never come for, um, closure may never come for? That's the big word, closure. How long will you stay in this place and hold on to this thing? And then the second question that I want to ask you is, what's the payoff? What are you getting out of holding on to being angry, being upset, not willing to move forward? Because if you really think about it, in there or some kind of way in there, there's a payoff for you for that. You're feeling some kind of way. It's almost as if, bitterness will cause you to massage your pain as opposed to get rid of it. And you need to think about, or you need to consider, what is the payoff for me? What am I getting out of this? What am I getting out of not releasing the person? What am I getting out of not moving on? What am I getting out of not letting this go? What does my life look like because I won't let this go? What do my other relationships look like because I won't let this go? Am I a person who has become so defensive, and I have such an inability to trust that I can't move on? Am I somebody now who has turned into a person who, in every turn, I'm watching to make sure that I can trust somebody, and I'm watching to make sure that somebody won't betray me, that I'm doing everything that I can to keep myself protected? And that's that's just not a life you want to live, and that's not moving forward and healing. So, some people will say, well, I'm healing and I'm doing better and I moved on and it's okay and I don't care what they're doing. I don't care the life that they're living because I'm living my life. But are you really living your life? Because if certain things happen and it triggers the memory of that thing, that doesn't necessarily mean that you've healed. You may have moved on, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you've healed. So, two things you need to ask yourself: how long have I been holding on to this thing? And because I've been holding on to it so long, what does it look like right now? How is it showing up in my life? Because I can't let it go. What am I doing? How defensive have I become? How insulated in my feelings have I become because I don't want to be hurt again, or I don't want to be betrayed again, or I don't want to be misused again. I don't want to be abandoned again. I don't want to be deceived again. How is this thing showing up? The fault of the person, but now it's about you. Because the longer you stay in it, it's not about them anymore. Because if you have removed yourself from them, you put up all of these things so that you don't have to be in their presence, you don't have to talk to them, you don't have to see them, all of done nothing to move forward. Now it's not about that. Now it's about you. So how long have you been in it? What does it look like because of the length of time that you've been in it? And when will you make the decision to move forward? Because healing is choice driven. You have to make some choices when it comes to healing. Because here's the truth: one of the things that people always say is that healing is a process, and it is. But it is a process that you have to participate in. It is a process that you have to decide to make some choices about. It is a process that you have to decide that I am going to do some things that make me better, that not only make me feel better, but also make me better as a person, that will allow me to be able to examine myself and not just keep examining the hurt, not just keep picking apart the hurt, not just keep trying to unpack the hurt and why they did what they did or who said what they said, but to get to a point where I decide that I'm going to make some choices that make me better. Because listen, healing is not just this thing that you do so that you learn how to defend yourself. Healing is a thing that you learn how to do so that you can be better. You can be a better communicator. You can be a better discerner of people's intentions, not to be suspicious, not to be suspicious, because bitterness, I will say, makes you suspicious. When you don't deal with the things that you need to deal with, you become a suspicious person, not a careful person. And so now you create this filter that always questions intentions, that questions whether or not people are being honest, that questions whether or not people want to be in your life for a good reason. And that is something that is a filter that healing helps you to get rid of. And you should want to get rid of it. So ask yourself those questions. How long have I been in this? What is it looking like? And what choices do I now want to make to move forward? What choices do I need to make so that I can be better? So that I can be free to love people? Because one of the things that I committed to in my healing was this: I committed to the fact that I would no longer love or receive love from a broken place. That means that I will not bring situations from the past into my present. That means that I won't allow past situations to dictate my present. And I know it's a very easy thing to say, but it is a even it becomes easier to say, and it becomes even easier to do when you commit to the fact that I will not bring into other situations, or bring into situations with new people what old people did to me. I won't do that. They don't deserve it. They've not done anything to me. And I deserve the right to go into relationships, and I deserve to go in and live life who genuinely want to love me and be a part of my life. So I'm just challenging you today to think about where you are. And if you are bitter, it's time to stop. If you're bitter, it's time to acknowledge it. It's time to deal with it. And it's time to move forward. And you can move forward because the longer you stay in something, it no longer becomes the fault of the person that hurt you. It now becomes your own fault because you're choosing not to move forward. You're choosing to rehearse the hurt. You're choosing to massage the hurt. You're choosing to give the hurt more priority than it needs to have because you're not willing to let it go. Because when you release the hurt, you release yourself. Not necessarily, you don't necessarily sometimes it's hard to release people and it's sometimes hard to release the thing. But at some point you have to do it. At some point you'll have to do it. So I'm challenging you today to get beyond being bitter, to unearth the thing that's keeping you bitter because it's been too long. It's been too long. I hope I said something today that helps you. I hope today that you'll be able to take this and listen to it again. Listen to, maybe there was something that I said that moved or triggered you to say, I need to make a decision. And I hope that you'll make the best decision for yourself. Because the best decision that you can make is decide that I will no longer be bitter, but that I'll live better.